All right, everybody, it's Monday now. I didn't really have enough to make a video last week. We're gonna go ahead and get the semi pulled out of here, and we're gonna grab the dozer and put on the gooseneck and haul to a farm. We got a waterway we're gonna push out. Gonna end up farming through it. It's kind of a pain to go around it, and it's not really necessary where it's at. So I'm gonna pull the semi out, but first I'm gonna pull our latest tractor purchase out of the way. Got ourselves a 4386 International. As a friend of ours, neighbor, had it. The price was right, and so I think we're gonna try and run it on our tile plow. There's a couple small issues with it we're gonna have to look at. The main one being this steering cylinder here leaks some oil. He tried putting a seal kit in it, and he said that still didn't fix it. So we're thinking it might have something messed up on it. We might just need a new cylinder out of a junkyard or something. Other than that, not too much. So I'm gonna move this out of the way so I can get the truck pulled out, which I might be able to get the truck pulled out without moving it, but I wanna start this thing up and make sure the batteries don't have a draw on them because it's been sitting a couple days. All right, make sure it's out of gear. Here we go. Throttle's up. Switch, you gotta turn the switch on to start it. No idea why. Oh boy. That's not good. Seems to be a little cold-blooded. Might just pull the truck out of here. I think I can get it pulled out without moving this thing, and then I might have to come back over. Might have to come back over with a can of ether or something to get this thing started. I'm gonna try and plug this thing in, and hopefully I can start it tomorrow. It's supposed to be a little bit warmer. We don't need to move it to get the semi out of here, so we're gonna see if I can get this cord to reach. There we go. Get it plugged in. Hopefully that'll help. All right, I'll go ahead and start up the truck. Hopefully this one starts at least. Oh yeah. All right, well, we're 2 for 3 on things starting today. What a mess. All right, we got the dozer unloaded here. We just got that sit here in the waterway. This isn't the one we're tearing out, but it's close by. So I'm gonna back this back onto the road, and I'm gonna head to town and get an empty weight of the truck and trailer, just so that we know how much they weigh. We're gonna load this thing up with some hay and take to a hay sale here this weekend. All right, I got us a weight on that empty truck and trailer, so we'll be able to go put some bales on that. Not right now though, it's still pretty wet outside everywhere, and it's actually starting to sprinkle now, so it's probably not gonna dry up any here this afternoon, so I might have to do it like in the morning when it's froze or something. So anyway, we'll probably start loading bales and stuff either tomorrow morning or next morning or sometime. All right, next morning here, we're gonna go ahead and get the bales loaded up on the trailer here to take to that auction. I got just the 2 bale trailers here behind the pickup. I'm gonna drop these off in a couple spots, and then I'll grab the semi too. All right, we got all the bales loaded up, so we'll take those into the sale here. Not today, probably, but it'll be here in a couple days. Sale's on Friday. Today is only Tuesday. All right, we're over at the neighbor's shed here. We keep some of our equipment over here that we don't use as often. Some of our seasonal equipment like the combine and stuff. And we got the tile plow and the 400 here. So we're gonna grab those and bring back to the farm. We're gonna go ahead and get this 400 set up for doing anhydrous this spring and unhook the tile plow. Might hook that up to the new 4-wheel drive. I think we're what, 3 for 4 for this video now? I'm liking this ratio better. All right, we got her started. It was a little bit tricky. What we found out was this key, when we were turning the key, all it was doing was like pushing the starter out into the flywheel. It wasn't churning the starter, which is weird. And so we just, for the heck of it, tried while we're down there, just crossing, we just took the screwdriver, crossed the solenoid for the starter, and it was spinning the starter, but it wasn't pushing the starter out into the flywheel. So what we did was, at the same time, Dad would cross it and I would hit the key. We do that at the same time and it would catch it just fine and start the thing. Now, I don't know how that makes any sense, why, you know, the key would not turn it and why the solenoid crossing it would not push it out. But anyway, we got it to start just fine then, so it had nothing to do with the battery. So anyway, I'm gonna go move this thing over behind this grove over here. This thing's got a 10-speed semi-transmission in it. Be like an Eaton or whatever. Stick it into 3rd gear here. All right, so to fill you guys in a little bit, yesterday we did some service work on the 400. I have that in the shop getting ready for putting on anhydrous. And then this morning we got the hay taken to the hay sale. Took the truck up there and the 2 bale racks and put out some bedding and stuff this morning. But this afternoon, we are working here. We got a waterway that we're pushing shut. It's just a small one that forks off of a bigger waterway, and we don't really think that it's necessary anymore. And it's kind of a pain to farm around. You know, there's kind of, I don't know, 10, 20 acres on one side and 10, 20 acres, whatever, on the other side. There's only a small area kind of to get between it and a terrace. So we're pushing it shut, and we're gonna farm right through it. And it's not a very big slope or anything. It probably really didn't need to be put in the first place, but so we're gonna push that shut, and we're gonna farm through it this year. So we got the dozer out here. Dad's getting started here, just making sure everything's gonna work, I guess, and might get some video of that, and then I'll probably take over here after a little bit if it's working good. All right, I've been pushing with the dozer here for a while. I got most of this waterway pushed out, at least on the one side. We're gonna have to push from the other side too, or at least in a few spots. Maybe some places will be okay. But this is what we got done so far. Dad's been working on scraping up some manure in the cattle yards, just going around the bunks and stuff, just getting the stuff outside cleaned up a little bit. And he's actually on his way now. He's gonna take over in the dozer here for a little bit, because I'm down to where this waterway Y's in with the main waterway. I'm gonna let him fix this Y and get this all tied in the way he wants to. He's a little better at running the dozer than I am. So we're gonna switch. I'm gonna go haul out 2 loads of manure at home, and then that'll be about it for today. All right, good morning, everybody. We're gonna be plowing some tile today now. I got the tile plow hooked up to the 400 here. We're not gonna use the 4-wheel drive yet. Got some stuff maybe to work out on that before we try and use it for plowing tile. Mainly tires. The tires are not that great on that thing. So once we get that thing figured out a little more, maybe we'll be able to hook it on and try and do some tile. But we wanna get tile done today because it's really nice. So we're just gonna hook the 400 on that we know is gonna work. And since we don't have it on the hydrous bar yet. And I got the 5-inch tile stringer on my pickup here. And so we're gonna take those down. I got some couplers in the bed too. And so we'll go try and plow some tile. All right, so what we got going on in this field is last year it was a really wet year, a really wet spring anyway. And we found a lot of wet holes that we didn't really know were there, the last however many years, because it was a lot drier. So exceptionally wet spring last spring. Found a lot of wet holes. Been working to tile a lot of them out. On this farm though, we kind of got a bit of a mess. There's some old clay that runs through here. There's a little bit of new plastic that Dad put in a few years ago and patched in some spots. And so we got a tile locator, and we ran up all these clay tiles and located them all last fall. And what we ended up deciding is we're gonna go by where this old clay tile is that keeps breaking apart and having bad spots in it. We're gonna plow a new line of tile, plastic tile, kind of alongside of it, kind of follow a similar path, and tile all of this out with plastic tile, new plastic tile. So we have a lot of spots located of this old clay tile. You can see all these spots we have dug up. We're gonna tie in way at the bottom where this goes into it'll eventually makes its way into a big main. So we're gonna tie in there, and then we're just gonna plow all the way up here. up into the neighbor's field just a little ways. He had some problems too, so we're just gonna tie it all in together, run one big string of tile across this whole farm where it's wet. It's just a 40-acre field. So right now we're digging up a spot where we think some plastic was that Dad would have put in here a few years ago. And we want to take that plastic, because that plastic dumps into the clay tile that we're replacing. And so rather than letting that keep running into that clay tile that we keep having issues with, we're going to instead hook that plastic in with the new plastic so it all flows a lot nicer. And then we'll leave the clay tile there so that any bit that it does drain can keep draining.
Plastic, I hope?
I don't know, that feels like clay to me, or it's solid. I want to say it doesn't change to plastic till maybe further up. I don't really remember, because I feel like, because this is still part of that main clay line.
It is.
And then is it right there where it Y's off? That might be the plastic up there.
I don't know.
Because we never dug any of that, we just located it.
Right.
All right, so the spot that we checked was still clay. So now we're actually further down the line. So this should be clay too, but there's a blowout spot here. So Dad's digging that up right at the moment. We're gonna see what we find here. There might be a connection here, because this blowout hole doesn't seem like it's perfectly in line with this clay tile here. So we're thinking it's possible that this is actually like a Y connection or something that goes to our plastic that we're looking for. And the spot we just dug up might be further up in the clay. So we're gonna, okay, yeah, there we go. So Dad just busted through it there, and that is a connection of some kind. I see plastic, I see clay. And I see water. Now might be time to put my boots on. There we go. It's
Able to take water maybe for a little bit?
Sure seems like it. It's not plugged full anyway. Looks fine. I don't know what we got. This must be.
A little 4-inch?
Might be. Yeah, must not have followed this one with the locator.
I wonder if they're probably underneath.
There might be a Y.
Connection right in here.
It's probably a Y right in here, and there's probably one that keeps going that way. Or hook them all together and then tie them all in with the new one.
Try this around.
Uh-huh. All right, so this is where this line runs under the fence and out of this farm, and everything downstream from this should be good, we think. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna take 2 chunks out of here and stick a plastic Y in. That way this side's still hooked up, even though we're kind of bypassing it. It'll still run water, so we're gonna leave it hooked up. We're gonna have a Y, and that'll Y off to our new plastic that'll come out of here. So I'm gonna roll these 2 chunks of tile out and replace a Y in there. All right, got the connection made down there. So Dad's just gonna dig out a little trench to get us started with the tile plow. Then we're gonna bring the tile plow down. We're gonna do a pre-rip on it, just to makes it a little easier when we go to actually pull the tile. If we have it pre-ripped at, like, half of our depth or whatever, or even deeper if we can. That way when we go through with the tile, we know for sure it's gonna work, and we don't have to lift up and re-splice and redo everything. So we're gonna get a spot dug out, grab the tile plow, and we'll pre-rip this and just give it a little trial run. right, we're going with the pre-rip now. You can see at the beginning there kind of why we do the pre-rip, because the thing is, when you're pulling a plow like this, you don't really need a lot of power, you just need a lot of traction. And this thing, even our big 400 Magnum, this biggest tractor we have, I mean, it's spinning, and it's just because it's just a little wet on top here. It's, you know, it's pretty dry on top, the ground is on top here, but it's wet underneath, you know, just down a couple inches. And especially deeper in the soil, it's really wet, and you know, the wetter the ground is, the harder this plow pulls too, just because it's sticky. Try to pull through the mud. So the reason we pre-rip it is we can go at a little shallower depth than where we want our tile to go, and pre-plow a lot of it up, and then we'll go back and follow the same exact path again. That way, when we actually are doing the real pass with the tile, we're not worried about getting completely stuck and having to lift up, and we don't want to mess up our depth when we're going through for our final pass. All right, so here you can see there's our tile, runs all the way up, and then here is the fence line, or imaginary fence line. There's nothing between the neighbor's farm and ours here, just a strip that we leave just a little bit blank. And so we're coming up, there's a nice big draw right through here. So we've already talked to the neighbor and everything, and they were planning on getting this tiled anyway. So we said, well, we're doing work in our field. We're just gonna rip all the way through and put one big nice string of tile all the way up this draw in the neighbor's field too. All right, we got everything pre-ripped. So I got the plow back in the hole. I just made the connection down there into the Y. So I'm gonna grab the stringer and I'm gonna start stringing. And Dad's gonna grab the plow and start plowing while I'm stringing, and I should have this thing plowed in. Lesson of the day today is don't forget to put the top on before you lift it up, or else you got to drop it back down. All right, we got that main section of tile put in. We're headed back down now to the other end. We got a spot where we want to Y off and just run in another line to plumb into this one. And then when we get that done, we're probably gonna go back to those pieces of clay that we dug up right at the beginning, and we're gonna connect those two together and run them into this line as well. All right, we got the other string that we wide off is pre-ripped up to here, and I just got it stringed out. Dad's running the plow up here now, putting it in. I'm gonna cut this off and cap this. All right, we're finished up here at this field. We're just getting everything kind of closed up here with the backhoe. I'll kind of show you what we did here. So right here is where we were digging this morning. There's a clay ran here and a clay ran here, and they wide together right underneath that dirt pile kind of. We covered both of those. We plugged them both on the downhill side. And on the uphill side, we connected them together and ran them into the new string that we ran today. And that way, everything uphill from this spot, this point, is running into our new line and bypassing all of the old shallow clay tile that's runs along here. So now I'm gonna take the stringer home and grab Dad's pickup, bring Dad's pickup over here. I'm gonna actually hook the Ranger to the back of Dad's pickup and bring that home. And then all Dad will do is Dad's gonna bring the tile plow home, and then all we got left over to bring is the backhoe. All right, it's the next day here. We're over on a different farm. We got one string put in just now, ran out of tile, so I'm back home here. I'm grabbing another roll of tile, then we'll head back. We got 2 more strings that for sure that we're gonna be putting in today, and then we might move to another farm, or we'll see what happens. Alright, so this is one of the strings that we're doing. Just runs from the ditch all the way up. There's a draw right where Dad's going through right now with his pre-rip. Kind of just winds a little bit. There's a big draw. It was really wet last year. It's been wet other years before too. So we're just running one big tile string all the way down, and we're just going to dump it off in the ditch here. We got a piece of sewer pipe that comes out into the ditch. And it's quite breezy out today. I think we're supposed to be getting like 50-mile-an-hour gusts, sustained like 20, 25. So, fun times. We're having a little issue here with the wind. The wind keeps wanting to blow. I don't know if you can see it, but the wind keeps blowing the tile as I'm stringing it. It's blowing it across the field and getting a little too far away from the plow. So that's kind of a pain, but. All right, we got one more line that we're gonna put in on this farm. Right down here, we're gonna run, there's a wet spot right where Dad's going right now with the plow. And we're just gonna run a string down into the creek. And then we got one more string on a farm across the road that we're gonna do, and then we'll go from there. I think I'm gonna just set the camera down for now, so I'll get back to you guys when we get these done and kind of go over what we did. All right, so I'm out where we did our tile. You can see this is the line we did right away at the beginning. I'm out here now. I'm gonna map these. So I got an app on my phone here. It's called Field Area Measure. I don't know if you can see that. Click on it, and it'll bring up the map. And what you can do with this app is you can measure an area. So you can go around a border, and it'll give you like an area measurement, like in acres or whatever. Or you can use distance, which is what I use to mark these tile lines out. Let's go over here. I'll hit create new, and I'm gonna go distance, and then I make sure GPS mode down here is turned on, and then pinpoint myself. There we go. Now you can see where I'm at, and you can see I've already got a couple things marked out here. So this is something that we located, an old piece. Here's just a spot where there's water boiling out last fall that I marked, or last spring I should say. And then this was a transition we found in the old clay tile. So anyway, and it keeps all these things on here, and then I can go, if I want to go locate this tile someday, I have a mark on the map right where it's at. So right now, all the way up here is where we ended the tile in the neighbor's farm here. I'm going to start measuring right here. Go ahead and click start measuring, and then I'm just going to drive alongside this pile here, and it's going to mark that whole thing out. And I'm going to make a break. I'm going to stop when we get to the neighbor's farm. That way I can get the distance separate. That way we know how much to charge him for the tile. So anyway, I'm going to mark all these out here on this farm, and that way we have them if we ever need to come and locate anything or fix anything. Now I've gone out and marked everything that we put in. I've got this side that goes all the way until the property line, and then I just started a new one, and it runs all the way down. You can see behind here where the water always runs. It's darker on the Google Maps, and so you can see we actually followed that almost perfectly right up there, and it comes down, and you can see here's where we wide those two clay lines into the main. This is the old clay that we had located. You can see now it actually winds into there, and then I got it marked to where it goes and winds in there, and then I've got the secondary line that we put in, and that goes up and ends there. So now I got all my tile lines marked out, and if we ever need to come back and fix anything or find anything, it's all right here.